Mum and Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyal. It was a long march from cadets.
Actually, it'd be better if you were over there.
Oh, come on, Jude.
Hurry up.
The big white.
Run, Mick, run.
The big white
thing.
Hands down.
On this anniversary of the landing of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps troops in Gallipoli, we commemorate the event with a special sadness because for the first time the men who made the fateful landing on the 25th of April 1915 are all but gone. It is appropriate therefore that we revisit the reasons why we commemorate Anzac Day and exactly what it means to us as a nation and as individuals. It has often been said that Australia came of age on the morning of some 14 years after Federation. That may be true, and perhaps that is why we hold the day in such high regard in our national calendar. It certainly is not to celebrate a great military victory, because the landing and subsequent Battle of Gallipoli was not that. The Anzac force was landed in the wrong place after setting out at about 3:30 a.m. from the fleet of ships anchored offshore on a night so dark that even the shoreline was not visible. They initially encountered fairly light rifle fire from the Turkish defenders, but the Turkish positions were quickly reinforced, and by mid-morning the Australian and New Zealanders were faced with withering fire and machine gun fire from above. At the end of the first day, 2,000 men lay dead for the gain of about 6 square kilometres and an advance of scarcely 1 kilometre inland, where they clung desperately to a small foothold. It was a military disaster from any viewpoint, except for the well-planned and successful evacuation that followed some 8 months later. The final count of dead was 250,000, of which 10,000 were Anzac troops. But of course, it is just not Gallipoli, remember, on this day, nor is it even the First World War. This day is set aside for all of us collectively to collectively give thanks for all of those men and women who put their lives at risk and in many cases paid the supreme price. We also acknowledge the losses and sacrifices of their families. These men and women did not start the wars in which they were involved. That was the responsibility of the government of the day, and our government is an agent of the people of Australia. The soldiers, sailors and airmen and women therefore were fighting on behalf of the people of Australia. What they did was to offer their very existence when they were told that their country needed them. I say their country, but in many cases, particularly in the First World War, they were doing it for a country that was not theirs by birth or even citizenship, for many of them had been born overseas and were Australian by immigration. Anzac Day is therefore a day for all Australians, regardless of religion, racial background or even place of birth. It is a day to commemorate bravery and self-sacrifice of past and present generation. It is a day to acknowledge the selflessness of all of those who are prepared to lay down their lives for Australia so that it can be a place of freedom for all. On this Anzac Day, we thank and recognise those who served in the First and Second World Wars, Korea, Malaya, Vietnam, more recently Cambodia, Somalia, Rwanda, Persian Gulf, Solomon Islands, Timor, Iraq and Afghanistan. Anzac Day is not for honouring war, for war is not something to be honoured. War is something that is used as a last resort when diplomacy has failed, and it is used by a nation to safeguard its sovereignty. We do, however, on Anzac Day, honour the people of Australia who have undertaken warfare to protect that sovereignty, no matter how distasteful it may be. So to them on Anzac Day we say, be proud of what you have done as we are proud of you. Parade yourselves confident in the knowledge that your deeds are appreciated by the Australians for whom you serve, no matter which of the Australian battles you have fought. You have helped create a tradition which our relatively young nation can display with honour in any company. We thank you for all of this. Say the ode. They will not grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the red years condemn. At the going down of the sun, in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.